Welcome to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast, where you can learn and be inspired by real-world examples of how technology is transforming businesses and reshaping industries in a language everyone can understand. Here is your host, Neil C. Hughes.
Welcome back to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast. Now, it seems that the subject of ransomware is unavoidable. It's everywhere at the moment. And after recording this podcast for 5 years, I am fortunate enough to have an expert on just about any topic on speed dial. And Ritesh from Airgap is officially my ransomware guy, and he's been on the podcast a few times now, but I wanted to get him back on the podcast to learn more about their ransomware kill switch, vulnerability scanners, zero trust, and so much more. So let's get straight down to it. Buckle up and hold on tight so I can beam your ears all the way to the US, where Ritesh is waiting to come back onto the podcast for his third visit. So a massive warm welcome back to the show. But for anyone that missed our first conversation, could you just remind everyone listening with a little about who you are and what you do?
Hey Neil, thanks for the invitation. I'm always glad to be here. My name is Ritesh Agrawal. I'm the CEO, co-founder of Airgap Networks, and we provide the best defense against ransomware, which is obviously the topic of the day and a topic that everybody discusses on the dinner table these days.
And I believe that today you will complete a hat trick of appearance on Tech Talks Daily. And we last spoke, I think it was in February, but let's be honest, 4 months is an incredibly long time in the world of tech, especially at the moment. Change just seems to be moving at breakneck speed right now. So I've got to ask, what has dominated your time since our last conversation? And have I missed anything or any big announcements on the kind of things you've been working on?
Lots of things, Neil. You're absolutely right. In a tech world, 4 months seem like 4 years, if not longer. And especially when you're working on a technology that is groundbreaking when it comes to ransomware protection, this has been absolute crazy times for us. So lots of innovation from Airgap and lots and lots of business talk in terms of ransomware. You probably noticed it in the news yourself. These days, I cannot wake up and not get bombarded with news about ransomware, some large organization getting impacted and so on and so forth. Especially since Colonial Pipeline hack, which was such a direct impact to consumers who had to stand in lines for hours, and many of them could not get fuel for their cars and trucks. They were stranded at home, their businesses were stranded. So we got bombarded with messages from many businesses that are super concerned about ransomware all of a sudden, because the awareness is happening out there. So very busy on that. We introduced a bunch of new features. We signed up a lot of new customers, and we have deployed Airgap in many, many production environments in the last 4 months. I couldn't tell you. I mean, we are so busy right now. Getting time out for even the podcast has been difficult for me.
Yeah, so right. What you're saying, I know I see ransomware appearing on my newsfeed just about every day. There was even a crazy suggestion that we should outlaw Bitcoin and that will get rid of ransomware. But I think we both know that's not going to solve the actual problem. But I'm curious, where are you with Ransomware Kill Switch? Is there anything you can share with the audience about the kind of problems that you're solving with it?
Absolutely. I think there is no easy answer to ransomware from a business point of view. I think much like COVID-19, and I hate to say this, everybody's going to experience a potential ransomware attack eventually. We are talking about 65,000 ransomware attacks this year alone in terms of high-profile business breaches. I just posted something on LinkedIn and I asked, do you feel lucky? I mean, do you? Because 65,000 is a large number. And I think behind every attack that gets advertised, there'll be lots of attacks that may not get advertised as well. So we're looking at many more than 65,000. Honestly, Neil, I have spoken to probably 200 customers in the last 8 months, and number of confessions I have received regarding ransomware, not just single attempt, but multiple attempts, is shocking. I knew when I started Airgap as a company, I knew ransomware is a big problem, and I knew that I want to solve that problem, especially with the technology innovation that we've done. But I had no idea the problem is as big. I mean, I hate to say this. I'm pleasantly surprised. I'm secretly happy that ransomware is a big problem and I'm solving a big problem. while I know that business are suffering really, really badly. To your question about the ransomware kill switch, what we have done and what our technology permits us to do is to provide an easy button to stop the propagation of ransomware instantaneously. And this was sort of based out of results of talking to hundreds of customers that have told us that great, you are preventing ransomware from happening to begin with, but God forbid, if I still get impacted, I need that easy button, because in the past I've seen my house burn down and couldn't do anything. If you're a healthcare IT organization, or if you are part of the manufacturing IT organization, you're part of the bank IT organization, or any mission critical business, if your business is important to you and your customers, you are part of the mission critical business environment. And if you get impacted with ransomware, current mode of operation is to shut down the entire network, which is not an acceptable choice, especially given the world is filled with false positives. Airgap has built this ransomware kill switch that will surgically stop the propagation of ransomware without having to shut down the business. So no impact to your business productivity. At the same time, immediate action to stop the ransomware propagation. This is sort of having your cake and eating it too. I know this is not possible in the real world, but you can think of Airgap making it happen for you.
And one of the reasons I invited you back on the podcast today was I believe you've also got a little news on your ransomware vulnerability scanner too. So can I ask that you expand on that?
Yeah, absolutely. And we're very excited about the ransomware vulnerability scanner for the audience that are interested in learning about what kind of ransomware they are vulnerable to today at their home, in their offices. They could go to airgap.io. Under the resource section, they could download the vulnerability scanner. Currently, it's available for Windows operating system. So when you download and run it on your laptop, it would scan your network and tell you if you were to be if an attacker were to get a control of your PC, then attacker would be able to then propagate ransomware in the environment. And it will also show you the devices that are likely going to be infected as a result of that ransomware attack. So that's pretty cool. But I need to inform everybody that this tool is only going to detect known ransomware attacks. There are lots of unknown ransomware attacks that even we don't know, that the tool won't be able to detect and tell you. However, Airgap as a protection company will be able to protect even the known, of course, as well as unknown ransomware attacks. And that's the beauty of Airgap solution. It is agnostic to the kind of attack. It'll protect you nevertheless.
And before you came back on the podcast today, I was doing a little research and I wanted to refresh myself with the kind of work that you're doing. And if we go back to the ransomware kill switch, one of the things that stood out for me was it's an automated ransomware kill switch. But am I right in saying it's not agentless, but it is zero trust automated? Is that right?
It is actually both. So the two things that is extremely important is zero trust is the way of the future. However, the way people understand zero trust is often misguided or misunderstood because there's so much buzz in the industry about zero trust. The other drawback of zero trust today is it is extremely difficult to implement and almost always requires an agent to be installed on every endpoint or every server. Now, installing a software agent has multiple problems. Number one is that it's difficult. You cannot go and deploy agent into thousands of machines. That would be non-scalable approach. Number two problem with agents is, what if the agent itself is compromised? You are potentially allowing hundreds or if not thousands of machines to be in the control of an attacker, which is pretty much the death nail for any business. The third thing is agents cannot be installed on every endpoint. For a business these days, typically you have lots of devices that are not in your control. This could be third-party devices, third-party servers. This could be IoTs like a thermostat or a camera or a printer. And this could be mobile devices, BYOD devices, your Apple Watch, your iPhone, etc. And you cannot install agents. It turns out that you can install agents in less than 15% of your endpoints. And protecting those 15% endpoints and not protecting 85% endpoint is not the ideal outcome for you as a business. So Airgap solution is completely agentless. Ransomware kill switch is completely agentless. And then, of course, it's fully automated. So we integrate with your existing platforms. The amount of dollars that a typical IT organization is investing in, we can take advantage of all of the investment that you have done and sort of increase the value of your investment by leveraging it to execute ransomware kill switch as well.
And for any techies that might be listening to our conversation today, how does the ransomware kill switch work? So let's say a bit of ransomware arrives on the network, it locks something out. How does it just stop it from spreading instantly? Is there anything you can share on that?
Absolutely. So look, Airgap has a innovative patent pending technology that will enforce any traffic movement inside your network. We can provide complete visibility and complete control. Again, no agents to be installed and no change to your existing switch, router, firewall, or other components inside the infrastructure. I could go as far as saying that it doesn't need more than a couple of lines of changes for you to get Airgap onboarded and functioning. As a matter of fact, we want to make it a 100% SaaS solution in the near future. So you don't have to install anything. You don't have to do anything. It's just like opening a Gmail account or a Yahoo account, and you got yourself an Airgap account. Once you do that, Airgap can stop the threat movement. And the way it works is you decide ahead of time that if I am under ransomware attack, these are the actions I would like to take. And I'll give you some examples there. First thing first is we create 4 policy level buckets. So you can create like a DEFCON level. You can have green, yellow, orange, and red level. Each of these levels correspond to a certain set of policies. So you can say for green, I want to stop all high risk protocols from communicating internally within my organization. So remember, we have these network with 400 Windows laptops and 20 printers, etc. I would want to make sure that nobody's communicating on RDP between those devices. And you just write those policies in Airgap under the green bucket. Under the yellow bucket, you may say, I want to be able to single sign-on authenticate every transaction, every business access from every endpoint, because I'm at a yellow level. No IT involvement is necessary. We can actually single sign-on authenticate every access. And then we talk about, okay, I want to go to escalate the level to orange level threat. I want to stop all non-essential business communication inside my environment. And then you can go to red level, where you can say, I want to stop access to some crown jewels like your storage, backup, etc. So you decide ahead of time, you keep those levels ready, and when comes the time to execute the ransomware kill switch, Airgap is ready to execute on you. You just tell us which level you want to go to, and we would be executing the policies that you had decided ahead of time. There's no panic at the last moment. Everything is automated. Everything is sort of reversible. So if you go to orange state because you got a threat alert, you can go back to green as effectively, as quickly as well, and there is no business downtime required per se. So hopefully that gives an idea at a high level of how the ransomware kill switch works. I'm pretty sure the audience who are listening to us, they would recognize that their organization must have a ransomware kill switch. And this is similar to every gas station or petrol pump that has emergency shut-off wall.
Yeah.
The gas station near your house, you want that to have an emergency shut-off wall. I'm sure the organization that you are part of should have the ransomware kill switch much the same.
And what trends are you noticing in businesses based on the kind of conversations that you're having with your customers right now?
Well, the common trend is the ransomware is growing extremely fast. I mean, the amount of growth is just out of control at the moment. And I'm getting panic calls from customers. I'm getting calls from large managed services providers. I'm getting calls from large businesses with multiple organizations under their control that they're super paranoid about ransomware impact, because some of this infrastructure is very outdated and very old. And I would have thought that this ransomware would impact a particular kind of organization, or maybe 2 or 3 categories of organization. It turns out that ransomware does not discriminate. Small, medium, large, East Coast, West Coast, Midwest, Europe, Africa, Asia, or America, doesn't matter. Ransomware is impacting everybody equally well. The second trend that we are noticing based on customer conversations is the ransomware demand. The dollar value has gone up, shot up like crazy. Used to be 20,000, 50,000, 100,000. Now it's in millions. In fact, CNA Financial, based on the news I read, reportedly paid $40 million in ransom. That JBC Meat company paid $11 million in ransom. Of course, the Colonial Pipeline paid $4.4 million, and apparently FBI was able to recover $2.4 million from the attackers. I'm sure that did not make them happy. So that would probably have repercussions, I would say. So yeah, I'm seeing these trends where the number of attacks and the dollar value of ransom has gone up a lot.
And if we look towards the future, what's next for you and Airgap? Is there anything that excites you about the road ahead, or the kind of role that you're going to be playing in the future?
I am getting very little sleep these days, Neil. There's a lot to be done. There's a lot to be done in this space. We are just seeing the tip of the iceberg. We are just going to see much clever ways that the attackers are going to penetrate your organization. And I have to say that many organizations I speak to are at a disadvantage because of the outdated infrastructure that they have, or lack of attention that they paid to security in the past, and now suddenly scrambling to solve those problems. So it's like a double-edged sword. On one side, the attacks are getting more and more targeted and more potent. And on the other side, I think the vulnerabilities are being exposed. Years of outdated infrastructure in the play is being exposed right now. From Airgap point of view, the great news is our customers are now guiding our roadmap. So they are telling us, I want this, I want that. There is not a single call that I hang up where I don't get a request for a couple of features. I think if we continue on this journey of being customer obsessed and develop features based on customer request, and there is a science to it where you understand the use case, you understand if this is a common feature, and you understand that this is the feature all our customers would need, and you build them on priority basis. I think if we continue on this track for the rest of the year, we would have built ourselves the best solution that is far, far ahead of all of the competition. And that's the goal for me.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure having you back on the podcast. But one of the things that I've changed since you last came and spoke with me was I now ask my guests if there was a particular song or piece of music that has accompanied them throughout their career in technology, or just helps them get their head in the zone before going in a big meeting or a keynote speech. Is there a particular song that means anything to you that we can add to our playlist?
Yeah, absolutely, Neil. I think there are two that come to my mind. One is and this may be a cliche, but "Eye of the Tiger" from Survivor. That's my go-to song. And then if that is not there, then Billy Joel's "We Didn't Start the Fire." I can remember back in the college days as well, when I would go for exam, I would scream out loud the "We Didn't Start the Fire" Billy Joel song. And it'll just calm me down as I enter for the exam. So yeah, those are the two songs I would say are my go-to songs.
Excellent. Well, I'll add all those songs to the playlist. But before I do let you go, can you just remind everyone listening again where they can find you and Airgap and how to contact your team? What's the best place to start at?
Absolutely. Look, my personal email is my first name, which is Ritesh, RITESH @airgap.io. You can always contact me. Excuse me. I'm a geek by nature. I'm very happy to talk to you and brainstorm on ideas on how to solve the problem that you may be facing for your organization. But in general, you can check us out at airgap.io, airgap.io. That's our website. You can also reach our team at info@airgap.io, and there is phone number as well as other chat windows that are available on our website. So that's the best place to start. And personally, I look forward to speaking with you again, Neil, and everybody else in the audience. Please contact me and let's have a conversation about ransomware.
And I look forward to speaking with you again too. After 3 appearances now, you are officially my ransomware guy. You're my ransomware go-to guy. And I do urge anyone listening, if they've got any questions or want to explore the topic further, to contact you personally. But more than anything, I look forward to chatting with you again. And well, I just cannot thank you enough for taking the time to come back on here and give me an update on what's happening in all things ransomware. So thanks for joining me again today, Ritesh.
Thanks for having me. And let's not wait another 4 months to talk again, Neil.
I think Ritesh will forever be my ransomware guy now, which could be a blessing and a curse in equal measure, I suspect. But what are your thoughts on ransomware kill switches, vulnerability scanners, and banning crypto to stop ransomware, the latest trends, or even what experiences have you had with ransomware? And what would you do differently? As always, email me, techblogwriter@outlook.com, LinkedIn @Neil C. Hughes, and my website is techblogwriter.co.uk. So any questions, pictures to come on the show, or if there is anything about ransomware that's got you thinking today, send me a quick message and I'll get straight back to you. So a big thank you for listening, and until next time, don't be a stranger.
Thank you for listening to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast with Neil C. Hughes. Remember, technology works best when it brings people together.